Della has a kind of a somewhat of a basic risk and reward economic question for you. How do you decide how much a case should actually be worth in some sort of a personal injury realm?
Sure. Well, there are practical considerations and real considerations. The real considerations deal with the nature and extent of the injury itself. In other words, you're not going to get, by way of compensation, as much for a scratched thumb as you will for a broken arm. But the reason for that is real. A broken arm is going to cause you a lot more pain. You're going to have a lot of medical expenses. You're going to have a period of recovery and rehab. And then at the end of that period of recovery, you may have some permanent limitations still as a result of the wreck or the accident that caused your injury. And that's especially true with the elderly that are injured as a result of avoidable accidents to them. So we look at the period of treatment, the nature and extent of the injury, the medical bills. Sometimes there are significant lost wages that are to be considered. We look as well as to the client themselves. In other words, did they make every effort to get as well as they could, as quickly as they could? And if they did, of course, that makes people more willing to properly and completely compensate them for the loss that they've suffered. Then we actually look at where the lawsuit would be filed and who the lawyers would be involved. As a general rule, that's more of a concern of the insurance companies rather than us, because the first thing that the insurance companies consider are where it's to be tried and who are the trial lawyers that are going to be representing the plaintiffs. So it's a process that we go through and weighing out what it was like for that person to go through what they went through. One of the easiest examples is, say, for example, we're going to offer you a job, and the job is for you to have your arm broken at not as a result of anything that you did wrong. You're going to undergo treatment for 6 months. You're going to have pins placed in your arm. They may or may not have to be taken out later if they begin to move at all. You will have some permanent limitations. You got to avoid this sport, that sport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What would be reasonable compensation for taking that job? And then people who are sitting on the jury really start thinking about what that person went through. They start thinking about the care the doctor gave them, how long, how many times they had to go back to the doctor, how much of it helped, how much of it didn't help. So that's a good general outline of what we consider and how it affects the value, and it's different for every single case.